Good morning.
Good morning.
The diehards.
We have several on the phone today, too.
Okay. Yeah, those who you are on the call, could you please mute your phone unless you want to say something? Because it's too noisy here. Thank you. Okay, so how was the week? Want to share anything?
Yeah, in terms of the neutral person,
Mm-hmm.
I chose somebody that I see when I leave the clinic, and he's cleaning,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a different feeling now. And as a matter of fact, he picks up on it because all of a sudden it's like, we're interacting.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of interesting, and I've been kind of duplicating that in other places, and it's like people are more like my friends, than ordinary, neutral people are becoming more like, becoming like friends that I care for. So it's kind of cool that it works
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
Just kind
Yeah.
of experiment there.
That's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
You are able to view everybody as your friend
Yeah.
or something to be admired.
Yeah.
That's really good.
The guests,
Then wherever we go,
Yeah.
we will be happy. And as I mentioned before, so at the moment, our source of happiness is very narrow, very limited. We feel happy when something good happens to us, to me. And then, of course, if we expand that a little bit, if good things happen to my family members, my in-group. So that's the only source of happiness you have. But you're able to view everybody as your friend. Then this source of happiness increases exponentially.
Well, and sorrow too.
Of course, that's how you view it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be so sad about it. You can empathize.
Right.
Yeah. So wherever you go, if something good happens to somewhere in another country, oh, that's so good, I'm so happy. You go to office, somebody gets a promotion, oh, you're so happy, as if you got a promotion. And you go elsewhere, any good news, you're so happy. So many reasons to be happy. But when we are only focused on spotlighted, our focus only on me and my in-group, then that's it. If good happens to this very, very few people, then you get happy. Whereas you are able to extend that net, then there is lots of reasons to be happy. So that's why I think His Holiness every now and then always presses about bodhicitta, compassion and bodhicitta. We don't have the experience. We only talk. We only have that intellectual knowledge. But like His Holiness, they practice it and they really feel the benefit. They really experience it. That's why they keep telling us that, this is the way. If we really want to be happy, there is no greater source of happiness than compassion or bodhicitta. So this whole thing, what we have been discussing or we have been going through, is all about that. All about generating, way to generate bodhicitta. And what prevents or precludes us from generating this mind is the self-cherishing attitude. It is always the problem. It always hinders. It always comes in between. So that's why it is showing it through this line by line, is showing us the faults of this self-cherishing attitude. Because we engage in this self-cherishing attitude, we are experiencing this and this result. So this is what we are trying to identify, all the negative consequences of self-cherishing attitude. And then requesting Manjushri to destroy it. So anyone?
Well, a number of years ago, many years ago, I tried this exercise, and there was a woman that I worked with who I knew, and I interacted with her sometimes, but really no connection at all. And all of a sudden, she would light up when I came around. She was happy to see me, and she was suddenly a friend. And it was just a revelation to me at the time. It just, I've had revelations similar to that since, but it was very much a revelation to me. That, just by cherishing somebody else and wishing them to be happy, that all of a sudden that person could be your friend. And since then I've always tried to apply that, not always successfully, but sometimes in situations that weren't going well, all of a sudden they would begin to turn around very quickly, just simply because instead of striking back, I was doing something more constructive and helpful. It doesn't always work, but nonetheless, at least I could feel like I wasn't making it worse. That I understood or was trying to understand what was troubling the other than what it was that was trying to make them angry. And so sometimes I succeed and sometimes I don't. But I try.
Okay, that's very good. Yeah. So I think, just to add on to what I have said earlier. So those who had the fortune to have audience with His Holiness, when you ask their experience, it is like everybody is like inexplicable. Have you had audience with His Holiness? Not yet. You had. So how was the experience?
It was with the
group.
Group of students from Shishidasan and Dharamsala. That's a long time ago, it was over 20 years ago. But everyone was so happy.
Yeah, many people say that just when His Holiness appears, the room fills up. And then when His Holiness leaves, it's like the light has gone out. It's that kind of, feeling. That is, I think, is mainly because of His Holiness' practice of compassion and bodhicitta. Because His Holiness always says that when I meet people, I always view people as equal, as the same sentient being, one of the 7 billion sentient beings. Not that, I am Dalai Lama. So His Holiness, the logic is that if His Holiness just views himself as I am Dalai Lama and you are this, then His Holiness, there's only one Dalai Lama, so you will be so alone. Whereas if you treat yourself as part of this, same human being, then you have so many people. So it makes sense. That's why many of us, we have this difficulty that, what do you call to mixing, to consider together or togetherness or the sense of belonging. So why we are so happy and so relaxed when we go to our family place, our group of friends? Because there's this strong sense of strong sense of belongingness. So that's what compassion does. Compassion not only your in-groups, everybody, it enables to generate that sense of belongingness with everyone. not discriminating anybody. So that's so great. So let's try to go through this. So we, if I remember correctly, we are here, we finished that 23rd, 63.
We went through 64 and 65.
We finished that?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, somehow I have marked here. Though, okay, Koryoma, I think we haven't finished this. Koryoma la, Kurgen Suyangme, we finished 63.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so we have to go to the 64. Did I give you a special class, Ken? Just to sing.
Please do.
Then you won't have the same connection with us because, you know, you'll be...
I'll share it with you.
Okay, 64. Koryo mala kurgen su yang me. Pembo mala kyabden kwendande pungje tokben gola chemsenje tada sheme nyingla marayas. So again, yeah, I won't repeat that later, but this is also in the beginning, I will just say once. So we are trying to again identify the consequences, one of the many consequences of the self-cherishing attitude. So it's although my companions and underlings are numerous, not one is dependable. Oh, where am I reading from? I should read it for you. Though I may have many friends and servants, none with dedications. Though I may have many leaders, I have no guardian I can rely on. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer false conception. Mortally strike at the heart of this butcher an enemy and ego. So here again it's talking about the self-cherishing attitude. So if you are, because of our self-cherishing attitude, we have been inconsiderate to others in the past. We have betrayed other people in the past. So right now in this life, even though we are surrounded by so many servants or friends, but they are not really friends, your friends. None with dedication. Nobody is really committed to you. So we know these cases. So especially when you make friends with your wealth and money, so these people are really friends of your money, friends of your wealth, friends of your power, friends of your status, not really your friend. So if they are really your friends, they will stick with you no matter what your status is. But we know that some people, when they are wealthy, they have thousands, or not thousands, many friends, many relatives. When I was in school, what are you looking for?
I was looking for my glasses. I couldn't see.
When I was in school, I have no relatives. I have no relatives in school, in Dharamsala. And then I was recognized as Rinpoche. And then the very next day, somebody appeared to say that, oh, you know, we are relatives, and you know. So I asked, the first question is, where do you live? He said, oh, I live in this Fosatganj, which is just near the school. For all these years, he didn't show up. But suddenly, he showed up. So I was very cross. When he said that he was living in the small town there, then, I was not happy. Because when I was in school, even though the school provides foods, never really full, all the time, not full all the time. So when you have relatives and all these things, it will be very helpful. But no, They didn't even came to say that, we are relatives, please come on weekends and all that. No. And then the moment, I was so surprised, they're so quick. I don't know how they learned that. Yeah, they appeared with stacks of Tibetan paklip bread, and then a flask of tea and all that to see. Yeah. So that's just an example. That is what we do. When people are wealthy, famous, many people want to circle that person. So here it is. So when these people, when they lose their status and wealth, then only those who are really your friends will stick. Though I may have many leaders, I have no guardian I can rely on. Okay. So in this, when we see these situations, so we have to realize that, in the past we have done all this. That is the result. And why we have this? Because in the past, because of self-cherishing attitude, we don't care. We use other people for our purpose. So now we are reaping the result. Kosa tola yunden dewe chung lama chela chakdang tuile zuk pungji toben gola chemse jem tada sheme nyela maraya. Though my status may be high, my qualities remain less than a ghost. Though I may be a great teacher, my afflictions remain worse than a demon's. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer, false conception, mortally strike at the heart of this butcher and enemy ego. So this is like people like me who have the name and all this. So those who have name and status and all this, but when it comes to actual qualities, it is saying that it's less than a ghost. So normal assumption is that ghosts, they don't have any qualities. They only have these negative qualities, let's say, no positive qualities. So here is saying that my quality is even less than the ghost one. And then though I may be great teacher, lama chela chakdan tuile zup. So you may be a great Lama or great teacher, you may be famous for being a great Lama, but inside, maybe you are not. It says that your afflictions remain worse than demon. So here, even though, of course, we use the great teachers and all that, but it is mainly to say that we need to practice. We need to practice. So not just what do you call, pretending that you are practicing. So that's what happens. So you may be renowned to be this and that, but in actual terms, very little to show. So this is also due to self-cherishing attitude. So that's when it says, the dance and trample on the head of this betrayer, false conception, mortally strike at the heart of the butcher, an enemy, which is the ego. Tawa tola chuba kile nyen, yonde mala shima lungla shor, pungje tobe ngola chimse chim, tada sheme nyela marayas. Though my views may be lofty, my deeds are worse than a dog's. Though my qualities may be numerous, the fundamental ones are lost to the winds. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer, false conception. Mortally strike at the heart of this butcher and enemy, ego. So in Tibetan we have this saying, so that means you may have some realization or you may have great views about things, but your conduct should still match the ordinary people, the humans people. You may have these realizations which are equal to the devas. But since you are a human being, your conduct must suit what humans do. So you cannot say that, oh, I have so much realization, I have high realization, so I want to do this and this. Doing something which is abnormal or something, or what you call, is not publicly acceptable. So we hear stories about people claiming to have, attained this and that, so that I can do this, I can do that, because I have attained direct realization into emptiness. We have these cases. Yeah. It's a common thing. So Yunde Malas. So though my qualities may be numerous, the fundamental ones are lost to the winds. I don't know why I have this picture here.
Beverly Thompson has left the conference.
So here, of course, it is good to have all kinds of qualities, but here it's emphasizing that it is very important to have the fundamental quality, which is normally the abiding by all these vows, the samayas and vows. So some people, they are intellectually very scholarly, Scholarly. But then when it comes to actual practice, that's why it says, worse than a dog's, and then fundamental ones are lost to the winds. So they don't really practice what they have studied. They don't really implement or apply in their practice. So basically it is the ethical conducts. So moral or ethical conducts is said to be the foundation of all the contacts. So if you don't have that, then it doesn't really help having all that kind of that numerous qualities.
Dr. Chair has left the conference.
Now I remember why I have this one. It is like drinking intoxicants, is it? So when you are in how to put it, the monks, I think, why Buddha banned consumption of alcohol is that even though alcohol itself is not so bad, but what happens because of that? So there is this story, if I remember correctly. Maybe, yeah. I mean, I don't remember correctly that clearly. So anyway, what happened was monk. So he was given alcohol. So what happened was, when you drink alcohol, not only you violate your vows and all that, but what happened was, after you drank, you got drunk. So you are not yourself. And then started to violate other bigger vows. So eventually, he got disrupted because of that. It is just from drinking alcohol. So it is like this. If you don't have the basic, the ethical conduct, ethical discipline, then all this doesn't really matter. When you have the ethical discipline, then you will be very mindful of your physical, your verbal, your mental actions. So when we are able to be mindful of these actions, that's when we are able to avoid all kinds of negative actions, which will prevent negative consequences. So that's why I'm saying that that's more important. So I think I've been always saying that it is good to study profoundly and understand really in depth all this. But the most important thing is whatever you understand, whatever little we understand, if we try to put that into practice, that would be the best thing. Otherwise, if you try to, learn all kinds of things, and then you say, okay, I will practice when I learn all this, day will never come. When you learn something else, then there's something else. I know of a person who reads, he may get a new book, he reads, and then what happens, they will come, and as he was reading, and then there will be a new concept. So he will start with there, and then he will try to research on this concept. And this concept, he finds another book, then reads on this, and he finds another concept there. And then he starts research the other concept. So you see, he never finished this book. Keeps jumping. Because while he's trying to understand this one, something new comes up. Oh, what is this? I want to know this. Before I know this, I cannot go. I must know thoroughly all that. So you started to research into this topic. And then another leads to another topic. So at the end, you have this number of books there, but you haven't really gone through this fully. So that's the problem. So, there will be no time. No day will come if we say that, oh, I must know first all this clearly and fully, and then I will try to practice. No. So whatever little we know, we practice. Because of that practice, we will know better. Remember, we were talking about the Jorchu practice. When we do these practices, at the moment we have difficulty understanding some topics. It's because there's a lot of obscurations. When we do purification practice, all that obscuration is cleared. And then when we read again, there's this special insight. You have your own experience. I have my own experience. I told you about this text. And I have been just giving long life initiation for years. And there was this part where I have to tell the story of this one. And then recently, I think, a year ago, when I was going to give, I was asked to give again. And I was just reading, going through. And suddenly, oh, I see. It's like completely reading a different text, but it's actually the same text. So this happens. So that's why purification is so important. That's why Jorchu practice is so important. Shindu tamjes. Just to add on to this one. So here, fundamental ones are lost to the winds. So one of the consequences, here we are basically talking about ethical disciplines. So in the context of monkhood, so there are great Rinpoches who were monks before, really, were able to help and benefit many sentient beings. And then the moment they get disrobed, then suddenly they are already in different direction. They are no longer able to benefit sentient beings as before. So this is one way they're saying that if you lose the fundamental, here the fundamental, what is that? Fundamental ones are lost to the winds. Those are the consequences. Shindu tamje rangi puksu shu Gyokur tamje tömen shenla che pungji tokben gola chimsi chim tada shemen nyala marayas. I harbor all my self-centered desires deep within, For all my disputes, I blame others for no reason. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer, false conception. Mortally strike at the heart of this butcher and enemy, ego. So this is a very common thing. This is we harbor all our self-centered desires. There is always something for me. We always look forward. We always do things to benefit ourselves. So that's why we have something called, even when we do good things, we have something called ulterior motives. So deep down there is that what is there for me? What is there for me? We always have this question. And then when things don't go, or anything bad happens, then finger pointing. So this image is good, you see. That's why we say that don't point finger at others, because you are only pointing one finger at others, but there are 3 more pointing at you. And then I mentioned about self-justification. Just last week, after I said it, I realized it. I was supposed to bring that container to return to Chuck. And I forgot it. And remember, Diana was in the car. So I said, I forgot to bring that. And then, soon after that, what did I say? Because I was on the phone. We always come with justification. We never leave it there. I forgot. That's it, isn't it? You forgot. It's your fault. Why you blame the phone? Isn't it? So when I said it, it dawned on me, there it comes. You see? Because I was on phone. Of course, it makes sense. So as you are trying to leave, the phone comes, the call comes in, so you answer call, so your mind is distracted. But it boils down to, I forgot. That's it, isn't it? That's it. Yeah. So that's why we when we talk, we just observe ourselves. There is always justification there. But when others do something, do we give that kind of a justification? No. We don't take into account any situation. We always, it's his fault. We never think that, maybe that person, something must have happened to him, or maybe, this happened. And that's in psychology, we have this fundamental attribution error. When we see somebody doing something wrong, instead of taking into the account of situation, what situation could have circumstances, but we always say, he is a nasty person, or he is an idiot, moron, or he's selfish, all this kind of thing. So the example is when somebody cut into your lane, you get angry and you started already thinking all kinds of names. But have we ever thought, maybe that person in a hurry, maybe, there is a life and death situation. He must arrive there in time. Or maybe he may have a very important appointment that he has to rush to. We never think that. Bad one. Bad driver. Yeah, so this is all about here. I harbor all my self-centered desire deep within. For all my disputes, I blame others for no reason. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer. False conception, mortally strike at the heart of this butcher and the enemy. Ngurmi kone sungyup dela shu, tombalane cholam tudang tun. Pungji tobyangwa la chimse chim tada sheme nying la marayas. Though clad in saffron robes, I seek protection from the ghosts. Though I have taken the precepts, my conduct is that of a demon. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer, false conception. Mortally strike at the heart of this butcher and enemy, ego. So here, this basically is also saying about this emphasizing the need to practice. Because it says that Murmik here is a saffron, though clad in saffron robes. This is mainly talking about in the context of Sangha. So Sangha, when I say Sangha, is Odin Sangha, Odin monks. So when we become monks, so we change our physical appearance. That's why we cut our hair, then we clad into these monk's robes, and we kind of discard the lay person's clothes. So this is only a physical change. But here it's saying that that is physical change. But we really need to change, make the changes internally. So though clad in saffron robes, I seek protection from the ghosts. So though we have become a monk and then we have to take refuge, but once you have taken refuge, your object of refuge should be the three jewels. But there are many cases where if there is let's say some spirits that can help you in any situation, many of us are more than happy to go and bow down. When people are desperate, they will do anything. And then the problem is there are also those who are fake ones, who trance and all this, and then we go and we just offer our body, mind and speech. So these all arises because we don't have the real refuge. When we have the real refuge, we won't be engaging in this kind of actions. So though I have taken the precepts, my conduct is that of a demon. So precepts, there are various precepts. So first, as a Buddhist, we take refuge precepts. So one of the main refuge precepts is to avoid harming others. So demon's action is to harm others. So you're saying that we are doing the opposite, even though we take all these kind of precepts. So another precept is Bodhisattva vows. We all have taken the Bodhisattva vows. So when we take Bodhisattva vows, of course, it is to be compassionate to other sentient beings, to avoid harming others. But do we do that? It's very hard. So in short, it's saying that we though appear to be practicing, and we though appear to do practice by taking all these vows, but in reality, our conduct is worse than that of the ghost or that of the demons. So here again, talking about practicing, applying the Dharma into our daily activity. So this, what prevents us from doing all this, practicing all these precepts, taking precepts seriously, is all boils down to the self-cherishing attitude. This is the one that hinders us. So that's why it says, dance and tremble on the head of this betrayer, false conception, mortally strike at the heart of this butcher and enemy. Tiki lai chene dungdi chu temba chu ji chene kunsho lu pungji tobyen gola chemse che tada sheme la maraya. Though the gods give and create my happiness, I propitiate malevolent spirits. Though the Dharma acts as my savior, I deceive the three jewels, dance and trample on the head of this betrayer, false conception, mortally strike at the heart of this butcher and enemy, ego. So this again is similar to the first one. That even though the source of happiness, but here it says that though the gods give or create my happiness, this is bit. So here basically is even though they use the god, it is actually the three jewels. So what all the good things that happens in our life, from strictly speaking from the Buddhist point of view, it is because of Buddha. Because Buddha taught us what to abandon and what to cultivate. Because of that, we are able to cultivate virtue. And as a result of virtue, we are experiencing all these good things. So that's why it's referred to, though the gods give or create my happiness, I propitiate malevolent spirits. But instead of propitiating the three jewels, instead of making offerings to three jewels, it says that we propitiate malevolent, is it? Malevolent spirits, yeah. Temba chuji chene kunjo lu. Though the Dharma act as my savior, I deceive the three jewels. So we know that the actual refuge is the Dharma. And Tanyi tagi kwenyi sheni sushi kwendu ki Tanyi levar tuwe na kebe turi toba jus. So this is to say that oneself is one's savior. So this accords with the refuge being the Dharma being the real refuge. Because Tanyi tagi kwendu ji sheni sushi kwendu ju. Tanyi levar tuwe na kebe turi toba ju. Who else is going to be your savior other than yourself? So when we will be saved is when we are able to tame our mind. So taming mind is the essence of Dharma. When we talk about Dharma is the real refuge. So we are not saying that there's Dharma up there and then that kind of brings us up there. It is through actualizing the Dharma, through meditation, gaining the attainments, all these paths, actualizing these paths, that's how we achieve enlightenment, isn't it? Tumna debo chui mitushin, dowe tu ni chagi mesela. Nige towa shen la pomende chunyi temba dembe chowa jururus. In Hindu and other tradition, especially Hindu, if you go to India and visit the river Ganga, there will be many people bathing in there because their belief is that if you bathe in river Ganga, you will be purified. All your negativity will be cleansed. So you're saying that in Buddhism, there is no such thing as cleansing or purifying our sins by bathing in water, in river Ganga. Buddha will not eradicate our sufferings by just touching our head. If that were the case, Buddha would have already done that. Why wouldn't he do that? The main goal of his achieving enlightenment is to liberate us, to end the suffering of sentient beings. So now that he has already become Buddha, why wouldn't he do that? He cannot even transfer his realization. There is no such thing as transferring the attainments and realizations. That one we can even know, even if we want to help our kids. When the child is struggling with their schoolworks, when they don't know all these schoolworks, we know it. Of course, as a mother, as a parent, you want to do that, but that's not possible. So even that is not possible. How would that be possible? To transfer Buddha's all that knowledge and quality. So then, how does Buddha help then? So that is Chunyi Tenpa Tenpa Chohajo. Buddha can only show us the path. If you go to TripAdvisor, it will tell you where to stay, how to go, the best place to stay. But TripAdvisor won't go there. We have to go. We have to fly to that place. And then just refer to, oh, from there you have to go here, go there. Oh, this is the place. You have to do that all. So that's why he's saying that Buddha will only teach. And then through our practice, then we will have to achieve enlightenment or liberation. So though the Dharma acts as my savior, I deceive the three jewels. So when we say I deceive the three jewels, so when we talk about real refuge is entrusting the three jewels with your spiritual welfare and then follow the three jewels' advice. So three jewels' advice is, or instruction is, to abide by this, the law, the karma, which is to cultivate virtue and abandon non-virtue. So that's the main thing. But we do the opposite. We engage, voluntarily we engage in all these negative actions, and then we don't do virtue. So that's why it says that I deceive the three jewels. So that's all because of self-cherishing attitude. Okay, it's break time. Okay. Okay, verse 70, is it? Taudu Gwambar Dene Yengwe Keris Tamju Zula Shune Moben Jong Pungje Toben Gola Chimse Chim Tada Sheme Nila Marayas. You got it? Though always living in solitude, I am carried away by distractions. Though receiving sublime Dharma scriptures, I cherish divination and shamanism. Dance and tremble on the head of this betrayer, false conception, mortally strike at the heart of this butcher and enemy, ego. So this is also in relation to monks. Of course, we can apply it to lay people as well. But basically it's saying that even though you remain in monastery, you have become monk, but you are all the time distracted by worldly things, the things that lay people engage in. So people like us, like me, even though monk remain in monastery, but all the time mind is all thinking other things. And then there are also monks who, even though in monastery, they are really, really involved in worldly things, things that lay people do. So this is talking about the faults of doing that. So for lay people, here it is about the distraction. Even though we don't really live in solitude, but even though we wanted to practice, we claim to be a practitioner, but our mind is all the time distracted. Though receiving sublime Dharma scriptures, so for those monks who have joined monasteries and studied for many years, and they have received all the teachings, the sublime teachings, but in the end they cherish divination, and here it's called shamanism. It is very common practice in Tibetan culture, where if somebody is unwell, the first thing is go and request a divination. That's what is called the mo. And then Lama will check divination. And then when you do divination, all the time, or it is the sickness is caused by this spirit, that spirit, there is spirit harm involved, all this. So if we really think from the karma point of view, it is your karma. Without your karma, without our karma, no spirits can harm us. So the practice should be purification practice. But there will be all kinds of rituals involved. And some people can be very, very superstitious. If you have some strange dream, must do checking. That's not here, isn't it? But yeah, there are. It is very common in Tibetan, amongst Tibetans. I had a bad dream. I must check. Something bad is going to happen. So this is what it's talking about. So if you have real understanding or karma and all this, then you will ignore all that. You won't stress, or you won't give any. I won't say any. You won't give much importance to these things. So this is what it is saying, that though receiving sublime Dharma scriptures, I cherish divination and shamanism. So this is all due to self-cherishing attitudes. What did you write there? No, I'm asking you. You were,
the thing, like, it was though living in solitude, I am carried away by distraction, there was given sublime Dharma scriptures, I cherish divination. Divination and
shamanism?
Yeah.
So what did you get from this? Okay.
I have one question. On the last one. So you were saying that, like, with people with dreams, so in the sense that sometimes if some people believe the bad dream, like wholeheartedly, is it the case that sometimes they sort of some bad thing ends up happening because of this belief? If they believe something bad is going to happen, does that influence something to happen to them?
So in psychology we have this called self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. So when you think that this is happening, that's the story I told you. Remember they asked me to, they said, there is a ghost in our house, come and do a puja to drive that away. So I asked them, did you see the ghost? They said that, yes. I said, where? He said, in the bathroom. And then, I asked how this came about. Because they went to see a medium. In Chinese, they have these mediums. And they will trance, and then they will say, there is this thing, that thing, you need to drive that. So when they went to see the medium told them that, that there is a ghost, because they went to consult regarding their child who is more of a I think having some kind of autism. So there's a ghost in the house. So you have to drive that, and then I will come and drive, and then I will charge you that, you see. So mainly you can see the purpose there. So I asked them, when did you see the ghost? Is it after seeing the medium or before? They said, after the consultation. So you see, they have already planted this thing in your mind. So now you started to look for that. Any signs of ghost existence. So when you see something dark looming there, oh, there I saw the ghost.
I have a question now. I think I'm not sure if it's the right name of it, because I don't think of that often. Not sure, nothing. The medium, the goes in trance and so what about that? Yeah. So medium, there are many mediums. Yeah. So some are really real. Some are also have some kind of clairvoyance, but some are just spirits, and some are not even spirits entering, just pretending. So there was this in Tibet. This trance. What do you call trance? Is it trance? Mm-hmm. Trance is the verb, isn't it?
Yes.
So what is the noun? Trancing, is it?
No, in a trance.
In a trance. Yeah. Okay. So this trance is a very common thing in Tibet. So annually they have a event where they will invite all the mediums, and then they will just trance. So one time there was this one medium, specifically this one is like rocking and all this thing. So there were two person there, and said that, look, that is really fake. Look at the way he is, moving as a thing. And then he said, no, I'm not fake. that shows that it's fake. He heard that, and he's saying that I'm not fake. Actually, it is fake. Yeah. So there are fake ones, but Nejung is a protector, which can trance, and I believe that it is reliable, especially when during the 1959 era. Right. So His Holiness was planning to escape, but what happened was, but at that time in the inner circle there are spies, Chinese spies. So in the official trance, Nejung told them that you should not go. And then when he was brought, he finished trancing, and then suddenly he tranced back and then asked His Holiness to must leave tonight. So because he knew that there are spies there listening, so the spy told them. So that's why when His Holiness left, there was no, nobody was, how to put it, they were not that vigilant. So they were already told that His Holiness is not leaving. So that kind of medium or trance is okay. And also this kind of trance, you have to do a lot of practice before you are able to really trance properly. Yeah. So, what was your question? Just
saying if somebody believes.
Yeah. So
that they have.
Yeah, not to everybody, but it does play a role. It does play, because you now tend to look for things. So that's why when we do meditation, like the mindfulness meditation, when we do that, the more we do, we feel that we are, not doing well, because we realize that we are aware. Let's say we are more aware of our wandering mind. Every now and then we realize that, oh, my mind wanders so frequently. But at the beginning you think that you are doing so well. You feel that, you are doing quite well. As you continue doing, even though you are improving, to you it appears that you are not improving. But it is improving because you are now more aware, because you have started to observe that your mind keeps wandering, keeps jumping from the focal point. So I think it plays a role. But of course, dream, what I'm saying is, you should not focus so much on these dreams. There are people who put so much emphasis on the dream. That is the mistake. But of course, some lamas, they rely on dreams. Those are different. So like my teacher, 100 Kandinti Rinpoche. So when you ask Rinpoche to do checking, Rinpoche will say that, okay, let me check my dreams. And then next day you can go and Rinpoche will tell, okay, you do this, do that. So those different level, like my dream, it will be the opposite. I dream of something else and it will happen the opposite. But then if it is opposite all the time, it is still okay, isn't it? Or this happens, oh, opposite, so it's going to happen. No, not reliable. Yeah. So, Tarbe jungo borne sata dim mili rinjinye ne nyekam dim drup pungji tobe ngola chimse chim tada shime nila marayas. Forsaking ethical discipline, the liberation path, I cling to paternal home. Casting my happiness into the river, I chase after misery. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer false conception. Mortally strike at the heart of this butcher and enemy, ego. So this is also in relation to monkhood. So you joined a monastery. The goal is to achieve liberation. When we receive the vows, the bhikshu vows or the novice vow, it has to be motivated by this desire to achieve liberation. Without that, it is said that you will not achieve the vow itself. But once we are comfortably back in monastery, then instead of working towards achieving liberation, is saying that we are more distracted, we are more interested in doing the opposite. Instead of remaining in monastery and focusing on your practices, you want to wander out of the monastery and then very involved in the worldly things. And then milu rinjinye ne nyekam drups. Casting my happiness into the river, I chase after misery. So this translation is a bit different. Here it says, despite acquiring the precious jewels of human body, I wind up in hell. That's more like it. Oh, am I reading the wrong one? Oh, sorry. It's the wrong one. Tsutim talambone kangkim pakim zin digi chula pone dugla nyek. Yeah, this is right. I'm reading the wrong version of the Tibetan one. Pungji tobengola chimsi chims. Forsaking ethical discipline, the liberation path, I cling to the paternal home. That's same, okay. So sutim talambone pagim zims. So this is back to the importance of what is called abiding by the ethical disciplines. So if we abide by these ethical disciplines or the vows that we have taken, then the result will be liberation. But if we just ignore and if we don't really follow strictly the ethical disciplines, then of course, it's like throwing away the result as well as the ethical discipline itself. So forsaking ethical discipline, the liberation path, I cling to paternal home. So it's similar to what I mentioned before. So even though you have this means to achieve a liberation, but without utilizing that, I am distracted and more engaged in the household things. Tigi chula pone tulanye. Casting my happiness into the river, I chase after the misery. So this is same as what Shantideva says. We run towards the misery and we destroy our happiness as if it were our worst enemy. So the meaning is that happiness and suffering arises due to specific cause and conditions. So for the causes and conditions for happiness is the virtuous action, whereas the causes and condition for suffering or misery is engaging in the negative actions. So what we do, our tendency is to engage in negative actions. And it is so hard for us to cultivate the virtue. So that's, in that sense, it is like we are running towards the misery. We are casting our happiness, running towards the misery. And then, when it says that, is like destroying our happiness as if it were our worst enemy. So when we engage in negative actions, we were like running towards the misery. And when we do not cultivate the virtuous actions, then it is like we are destroying our happiness. So casting my happiness into the river, I chase after misery. So the lesson is that we need to reverse that. Instead of engaging in negative actions, we should cultivate virtue. And this is not happening because of our self-cherishing attitude. Self-cherishing attitude always comes in between. Tarbe jungo borne sadatim milu rinjinye nyekam drup pungje tobengola chemsichim tada shemenyela maraya. So this is the first and the second more or less same. Forsaking the gateway to liberation, I wander in the wilderness. Though obtaining a precious human rebirth, I seek the hell realms. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer, false conception, mortally strike at the heart of this butcher and enemy ego. So here you see I have the image here. So this is the way you... so this is what we do in India, and also I think early days we do. So when you have this grain husk, so you have the empty husk and the grain. So when you do this, the wind, so all those husks are empty ones, light, so the wind will separate that, and the actual grain will fall in this. So that's the way. So here the image, what I'm trying to portray here is that what we do in this samsara is like doing this with the empty husk, that empty husk. So empty husk, no matter how diligently you do that, what will you get? Empty husk. No grain, no actual grain. You won't get any empty, full grain. So that's what we are doing. That's what it's saying, that even though we achieve this precious human rebirth, but what we are doing is like wasting it. So remember, another analogy is that if you happen to have a very precious vase or vase or whatever you call that. How do you say that? Vase, is it? Pumba, vase, or a pot. And if you use that precious container, let's put it, if your precious container maybe are made out of gold and then stuck with all that, adorned with all that jewelry and all that, that's so precious. But if you use that as a garbage bin to throw all that garbage thing, what would you say? Such a stupid person. This is so precious. Why is he or she using that as a garbage bin? That's exactly what we are doing. We have this precious human body which can enable us to achieve enlightenment, if not liberation. If not, at least it can enable us to guarantee not being born in the lower realms. It can ensure us a good next rebirth. If we put effort, of course, in this very lifetime, we can achieve enlightenment. And then if we put more effort, even with this very short lifetime. So in Tantra we call this, one can achieve enlightenment in one lifetime. So there are two ways. If you enter into the lower tantras, action tantra and all this, you can still achieve enlightenment in one lifetime, but that is a very long lifetime. Through these special rituals, you can lengthen, we can lengthen our life so that it can remain for, let's say, 500 years or 1,000 years. And then during that time period, we work, practice, and we achieve enlightenment. That is also considered achieving enlightenment in one lifetime. But it's a long lifetime. I see you shaking your head. Yeah. And then in the highest...
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Because you already have that level, so you want to still progress. So if you die there, you have to start, isn't it? So instead of dying, so you lengthen your life. If you are to only remain for, let's say, 100 years, you increase that. There is a way to do that. Turn into 200 years. After 200 years, you still feel that I still need more time. Okay, increase another 100 years.
What's the story about that? There's a yogi.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying there's a yogi on Everest. They said that he's been there for,
I don't know,
a few hundred years or something.
Yeah, that's the distinction. Is the distinction that explained between this achieving life enlightenment within this short human lifespan and one lifespan. So like if we enter the highest yoga tantra, then they say that even with this short human lifespan, one can achieve enlightenment. So that's the difference. So what I'm saying is we have this body that if we want to achieve within that short span of time, we have the means, we have the engine there. It's whether we want to build a body on it or not. So this is saying that we shouldn't waste our time. And this self-cherishing attitude is the one that makes us waste our precious human rebirth. Chogi gyurge shane tsongki duk, lame choja shane chongyundim, punji toben wala chemseji tada sheme nyingla maraya. Putting aside spiritual development, I pursue the profits of trade. Leaving my teacher's classroom behind, I roam through town and places, dance and trample on the head of this betrayer, false conception, mortally strike at the heart of this butcher and enemy ego. So this again highlighting the importance of practice, spiritual practice, because it says that even though we have the condition and the facility to pursue spiritual development, but we do not. Instead, we pursue the profits of trade, the other unimportant, from the Dharma point of view, useless pursuits. Leaving my teacher's classroom behind, I roam through towns and places. This is basically saying that when we have the opportunity to receive Dharma, when teachers are available, but we do not give priority to that. We prioritize other things, like the example is I roam through the towns and places instead of attending Dharma classes. So this is all due to self-cherishing attitude. Rangi sowa shane dukuto rangi pase shane shenla ku pungji tobyen la chemse tada sheme la marayas. Forsaking my own livelihood, I rob others of their resources. Squandering my own inherited wealth, I plunder from others. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer false conception. Mortally strike at the heart of this butcher. Forsaking my own livelihood. What does that mean? So it's more like keeping your own. You have enough resources, but instead of using your own resources, you rob others. So some situation where you have no choice but to rob others' resources. But in this case, it's basically saying that you have enough, but you want to save it, you want to hoard it. Instead, you rob others' resources. So that, I think, is quite easy for us. We are prone to that. Just to give an example, so if you want to print something in the office, if you have an office and you have the facility, printing facility, so you have your own printer, but in order to save paper and printer ink, what we do, okay, printed office, 10 pages. If you are to print at your home, you will print, what do you call that? Two sides, two double sides. But when it is office one, okay, one side. And then also the ink, you can choose fast and the fine ink, isn't it? Oh, office one, you don't feel the pinch, okay. Finest printing, but when it's yours, fast printing. So this is, we are prone in doing that. So that's what I say, forsaking my own livelihood, I rob others of their resources. So in Tibetan here says Rangi Tsowa Shane Dukuto. So Dukuto here means that you prevent, not prevent, you use the monasteries, the things and resources that are that belong to the Sangha community. So let's say if you go to a monastery and if you use their things, so this is what he's saying, that you are taking the monks, because this is not for you, this is for those ordained monks. People have made offerings to for the use of ordained monks. So if you go there and use it, that's also considered. This is literal meaning is that dukutok, but the translation is more wider. Rangi kase shane shenla ku. So this is you have enough. Squandering my own inherited wealth, I plunder from others. So this is what we do. We have all these wealthy people, they do, isn't it? They have enough, but they still want to. And okay, no need to mention that. Okay. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer, false conception, mortally strike at the heart of this butcher, an enemy, ego. Emma komsen chung la munshe no lamna masin tome kang la yok kang ba yok pungje tobe.
No.
Okay.
You just had it numbered wrong. On that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
should be
that
verse
should be
74.
I see. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Alas, though my endurance for meditation is poor, I have sharp clairvoyance. Though I have not even reached the edge of path, my legs are needlessly fast. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer false conception, mortally strike at the heart of this pusher and enemy ego. So this one is saying that those people who claim that they have this and that attainments, even though they didn't really endure the necessary, they didn't spend the necessary time and committed enough time and effort in achieving that. So this is one of the main, when we talk about the lie, this is the dangerous lie. So we can lie about many things, but when you lie about having attainments that you don't have, that is really deceiving people. So Emma is that alas, it's like so sad that they are, time is such that, people have no perseverance. People cannot commit their time and effort, but they are already claiming to have this and that attainment. In here it says that I have sharp clairvoyance. Though I have not even reached the edge of the path, my legs are needlessly fast. So if you have real attainments, you will never say that. You will always hide. In the real practitioners, they will never show up. I told you about the stories of the Rinpoche during one of the puja time, prayer time, when they started to bless the inner offering, it started to boil. It's supposed to boil, and it is boiling. But instead of showing up, Rinpoche hid that under his cloak. So that's what great practitioners do. But those who don't have much, then a little bit, broadcasting, blowing your own trumpet, isn't it? It's called. So then it says that though I have not even reached the edge of the path, my legs are needlessly fast. So basically, I think it's like you haven't arrived there, but you claim that you have arrived somewhere else. You're just there, but you always claim that you have this kind of realization. So this is all because of self-cherishing attitude. So that's why we are asking Yamantaka to help us destroy that strike at our ego. And this one, I think that you girls can tell. What is this? Can you tell me from the image itself, what does this going to talk about?
A kid not listening to his parents or like.
Very good. When someone gives, okay, let me read the Tibetan first. Pembar lobna tangsim tarunzin, gogurluna nyingme tinduso. Pungje tokbengola chimsenje tada shemenyingla marayas. So when someone gives useful advice, I view them as a hostile force. When someone fools me with treachery, I repay the heartless one with kindness. Dance and trample on the head of this betrayer, false conception, mortally strike at the heart of this pusher and enemy ego. Tibetan way of saying, Pembar mawa kumbate tada leja nyemba kun, memba keba kumbate te ngashin cheba nyungs. So it's Pembar mawa kumbate means there are very few people who will say things that are really beneficial to you. Pembar mawa kumbate. So that's true, isn't it? Some of the people say, even though you see that there's some fault, you will get, oh, you look so nice, so good, all this. Teda leja nyamba guen. Teta leja means more than those, what's it? More, fewer than, okay, let me rephrase it. So it says that there are very few people, the number of people who will say beneficial things to you are very few. And then, fewer than that, there are who will listen to such things. Did it make sense? How do you say it?
So very few will offer good advice, even fewer will listen.
Even fewer will listen, yeah, exactly. Even fewer who will listen to you, yeah. Then they've given the analogy. Remember, there are very few really good doctors, and then there are less than, how do you put it, Ken? Less than the patients who will listen to it. Fewer still who will listen to that doctor. So he says, when someone gives useful advice, I view them as a hostile force. We all have come across these people. You really meant it well, but the other person, instead of viewing as good advice, they will see it as criticism. They don't view it as beneficial advice. They will say, "Oh, why are you all the time criticizing me?" They are not ready to bring. So that's what it's talking about. But then these kind of people, when someone fools me with treachery, I repay the heartless one with kindness. When somebody talks in a very sweet way, all this thing, then we will just go along. So Tibetan way of saying, gotong letong. That's empty head. No brain, brainless. We are not like that, isn't it? I repay the heartless one with kindness. Yeah. Dance and tremble on the head of this betrayer false conception, mortally strike at the heart of this pusher and enemy ego. Okay, we will stop here. So girls, I want you to ask you, what did you get from this? What did you learn today? Okay, go ahead.
To follow virtuous actions instead of...
Sorry?
I learned to do virtuous actions instead of engaging in negative actions.
Very good.
That'll lead to happiness instead of suffering.
Mm.
I learned to not to hoard things. Not to hoard things and steal from others. To be giving.
Yeah, not to pilfer.
Not to steal.
Others. So when you're in school, when you go to school, all this, whatever the school's property, always try to use it as it were yours. Normally we have a different view. When it is yours, you will use it sparingly. But when it's others or schools, doesn't matter. That's what it's saying. Okay, very good. You want to say anything? Anything to add on? No? Okay, good.
So let's say the dedication prayers beginning with the short mandala offering on page 4 and concluding prayers on page 6.
Yeah.